Hello, this is Braden Amson. This is my Prod321 submission. This is recording number 2 because I just did a recording and realized my OBS was set to push to talk. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, so had a lot of fun with this assignment. I'm looking to combine it with my 323 and eventually make it into a proper game for the portfolio. Yeah, this will be about the 321 parts of this assignment. So starting off with the section 1 required tasks, I'll cover the level. So we had to make a level that showed that you could use to demonstrate visibility mechanics for the rendering part of this assignment. This is the level I created so far. I've got an outdoor bit. I have not got around to fully finishing yet. It's got just some basic objects in there that occlude, but a couple of these rooms are fully furnished and, you know, kind of ready to go. Then there was the portal and frustrum culling. Well, I combined my portal, frustrum, and occlusion culling all together. So I'll just show all the different regions. So I ended up using, I went a bit overboard and did 26 different regions. All of them with varying amounts of portals. You can't really visibly see, I've made it where you can't visibly see them in game or even really in the editor that much, but yeah, I used, what's it called? The Pro Builder, I think it is, package. Yeah, Pro Builder package to help me build some of these more not fully square rooms like this here. And that there. Yeah, so my portal culling and occlusion culling both work together. How it works is if we go to an enemy, I'll just use this guy as an example. He has the portal culling on this part, and then he has his occlusion culling on this part. The portal culling is essentially telling the occlusion culling what it can see, and then what objects to test for occlusion, what objects to calculate for occlusion. Because obviously you don't need to occlude or calculate occlusion for objects you can't see. So each region that has any type of occlusion in it, for example, these boxes here, the actual default model is too much, so I created like a little empty box collider for the actual occlusion mesh itself. In this actual region, if we quickly find what region that is, regions, easiest way to do it, click that, region 23. Go to region 23, you can see it has these walls here and these objects in the occlusion mesh. So when the objects test for visibility, so this guard can see these through here, it'll just be testing for, the portal culling is telling him to test these for occlusion. And then the two scripts kind of communicate. Portal culling goes, hey, I can see the player. Occlusion, is he covered by occlusion right now? And then if occlusion is like, nah, he's not covered by it, then it's like, sweet, I can shoot him, I see him. Essentially how that works, interacting with each other. Yeah, so I'll demonstrate them actually seeing you. I think I've explained. Oh, and I'll also add another thing I did for occlusion culling is the original occlusion culling script we provided in the labs does not. Oh, that is a bit loud. Hope that is not too loud over the mic. The original occlusion culling script we're given does not work with multiple camera perspectives. So you can see they're shooting at me right now, and when I'm hiding behind this wall, they cannot see me anymore. If I pop up, they can see me again. Hide behind here, they can't see me. Just back up a little bit more. Oh, back up a little bit more. And they can't see me again. If I just run around here, they wouldn't be able to see me very bad. While I run around here, I'll just talk about the occlusion culling changes I made. Is originally in the original lab we were given, occlusion culling would only work from it would always be calculating occlusion based on the first camera that ever saw it, if that makes sense. So for example, if, say, that guard had seen this object first and he was here, then that guard had then just seen the object now, this object would be occluding based on this guard's perspective here the entire time and not caring that that guy was there. So what it would lead to if I had two guards on opposite sides, or a patrolling guard that's seen a occlusion object ages ago, it would be calculating based on where he is and not where, say, the guard here is. So it could just lead to instances where a guard thinks you're occluded when you're actually not, because the original camera that saw you is technically occluded by you, or vice versa. A guard thinks you're not occluded, so it's shooting through an object at you because it's calculating based off a guy who's all the way over here who, you know, you're not occluded by. To fix that, I'm not sure if it was the most efficient method, but I just essentially, it was quite a bit of tinkering around, trial and error, dealing with a bunch of errors and then debug. I ended up creating a occlusion manager and had to modify the occlusion and portal culling scripts a decent bit to get that working. And yeah, that just kind of takes care of allowing each object to have multiple occlusion frustrums at a time. Another thing I did with portals in particular, this is nothing too insane, but I just made portals properly work with the doors. So each portal has an option to have a door linked to it. If it has a door linked to it and the door is closed, the portal is disabled or will not provide a frustrum if looked into. But yeah, I think that covers about everything from the main tasks. I think that's all the modifications I did to occlusion and portal and normal culling. It took a bit of time and tinkering around with, but got there. So yeah, going on to the optional, or the selectable tasks in section 2. Starting off with task 2 in here, which was some sort of other hiding mechanic. I think I did this. So what I did was I created items. I have an entire inventory system you can use in here, which I'll go into more detail about a bit later on once we get to the animation section. But if I pick up that, no, that picked up a knife, not the smoke bomb. But I essentially created smoke bomb objects that create new occlusion based on where they're thrown. Are they gonna see me? No, we just walked past before he would have seen me. I still am gonna in the future optimize like what their sight range actually looks like. It's not like perfectly realistic right now, but that's gonna be when I actually get to the AI part of the AI. So you can throw a smoke bomb and it will create an occlusion here. And so now, oh, he might have been too close to that, so he could have, oh no, there was another guy shooting at me, I think, but those guys can't, oh, now that he's standing in it, he can. It's a bit of a terrible example. I think I'll have to redo that. If they're standing right in it, the sphere kind of doesn't fully work. I've noticed with these culling scripts, is if they're standing right in the visibility sphere, they kind of ignore it, is the problem I've dealt with at times. It's like if the player is right in front of them, they won't really be able to properly see them unless I put it's because I put the camera in the head, unless I put the camera like back here. But that, I just thought of that as more of an AI thing I'll deal with as time goes on. But essentially what the smoke bomb does, it just creates a occlusion for about 10 seconds, like a new occlusion object. It lasts about 10 seconds. We go picked up straight away. And if I just run out here, this guy's currently shooting at me. Turning around, still shooting at me. And now he can't see me until he runs through the smoke. And eventually that smoke will just disappear again. After about 10 seconds, yep, it's disappeared now, and he can see me normally again. So I wasn't sure if that would exactly count for that, but I figured better than saying I didn't do anything for that. Yeah. And then the other selectable task I did, one of the other ones, was task 4. I believe that one is the radar map. Radar map didn't work super amazingly for me with portal culling. It's very, I couldn't find, not sure if it was due to me just modifying the portal culling script so much that I couldn't, because I did initially turn off a bunch of materials that I had to refind. I couldn't get it to properly show, like it just shows the frustrum as if it isn't being culled by the portal at all. To make this a little bit better, what I did is I chucked some visibility or some spheres above both the player and enemies, so you can kind of always see where they are. I think that guy's getting messed around by a portal a bit. So the player's always green and up here. Enemies always have a green or red sphere above them. Red means you're currently in their frustrum. Green means you are not. So if we find someone who can see us, that guy there, he was in there, but he could see us and he just killed us. Moving on from that is task 5. So I spent a while trying to get portals to work, following guides and stuff. Ran out of time. It's probably the last thing I tried to work on, just because I wasn't going to really use it in the actual final product game of this. So we got a portal there. Essentially, I've just done the moving through it part. So you can run through the portals. Yeah, tried to get quite a few different things to get that working fully. The other actually moving them and the camera part of them, but never could get it quite to work. Section 3, the animation part of this assignment. So, character creator. You got me over here. I've tried to, clothing isn't I don't really wear pants to university. I usually wear shorts, so it's not the most accurate, but there's only so much clothing options you have. I usually have like a ring and a watch on as well, and couldn't really find anything on character creator with the versions we were using without having to actually pay for stuff. Even same with the hair. Well, I feel like the hair is relatively accurate. The actual like body shape and dimensions, I had the girlfriend sitting next to me kind of just critiquing me as I made changes to it. I don't know, it's weird actually trying to look at a model of myself. I honestly can't really tell if this is like that accurate or not, but yeah, hope it is. Task 2, I believe that was the mocap animations, and task 3 was combining them and other animations. So I'll show that all off now. So with my inventory system, if you go to use an item slot that has no item in it, you pull up your hands. That's the fight idle stance that was mocapped. Got a left attack, got a right attack, and you got a kick. I didn't have time to really get the hands to properly work, since our mocap studio doesn't have the hand, finger and hand movement trackers, which is unfortunate. Didn't really have time to go through and actually get them to look nice, so you'll notice that with that. Then you got jump while stationary, moving and jump, backwards, you can turn while moving forward and backwards, and you can also strafe backwards and forwards. And then picking up objects. So I think I showed it a bit before, but I'll do it again here. Reach down, grab. Every single item is interactable with, and they all can go to there is 10 inventory slots, and essentially each object can go to any inventory slot. Just go to the where am I on here? It'll just pretty much go to the first inventory slot I can find that's free. All these little circle sphere colliders here are pretty much all the different object spots that they can go on to. Every item has its own slot rotation and slot position based on each different slot, if that makes sense. A little bit of an offset so they don't look weird. Like the knives, for example, look a bit strange if, say, this knife here was stabbing into me or poking out in a weird way, so they all have offsets to make it look natural. And yeah, so fully got this actual pickup animation. I haven't used avatar masking for that part. I've used that for some other stuff in here that I'll show in a second. But moving on from that part now, we've got, oops, yeah, I made some more mocap animations for aim, like knife aim and throw. I haven't had time to actually get into properly work super well yet. That was a future me thing when I get up to that. I'll show the avatar masking really quick. So the avatar masking overrides the hands, specifically with the throwing grenades, and I guess also that knife aim and throw there. What ready slot 1. So yeah, you can see the hands have been overridden, the arms, and then you throw, same thing, and it goes back to normal. The flashbang doesn't do anything right now besides this animation, but the idea behind the flashbang is in the future I was going to, with the AI, just pretty much turn off their frustrum if they get flashbanged for a little bit. But I just decided that was more of an AI thing to work on later on. So yeah, that's the reparenting and avatar masking, a lot of parent swapping. Like with the throwing as well, you can throw knives and repick them up after you use them, which I'll demonstrate in a couple minutes. I did the make your animations cause damage, well, your normal fire animations. So if I go to an inventory slot that has no item on it, so this first guard out here has been purposely set to 10 HP so that any attack will kill him. Yeah, that was the left hand. Right hand one does one as well, then the kick does as well. What I've done with these animations in particular is, if I go to punch, I have chucked them with animation events. These events, the first event sets a ball value that means I can actually do damage, because you obviously don't want to be able to just run up to an enemy and just every time the collider touches them it damages them. That isn't how it works. So this animation event pretty much runs a function that sets the can do damage to true, which is then immediately set to false after the damage goes off or the event ends. And then I also have a reset triggers event call near the end of the animation, which essentially, since I'm using a trigger for these, it means if I, please don't kill me, I'll try and kick this guy because I've set my kicks to do a lot of damage. Yeah, there we go, he got kicked. What that does is it resets trigger once the animation plays, because initially I noticed if you just have a trigger, if you spam click the mouse while an animation is playing, you would play the animation additional time after the animation ends if you just spammed. But by resetting the trigger at the end of the animation, it kind of prevents that. Yeah. The next set of tasks, ragdolls. So I just showed it a little bit there, but I'll do it again. So both the player and the guard's ragdoll. To make it look accurate and not immediately T-pose, what I've done is, well, the guards, when they die, same with the player, they drop whatever item they're holding. So you can see these guys' guns are on the ground. They will also, I've done a script that maps every bone in the original guard or player, and then takes all the transforms and copies it over to the new ragdoll, so it's not T-posing, and then hides the guard, spawns the ragdoll in, and then I apply force to it based on what type of thing killed it. So kick, I think I've set kick to do the most, but you can see this knife here. They fly back a bit, and then I also died and ragdolled back. Had a lot of fun playing around with ragdolls, and probably too much fun playing with ragdolls. The next part, oh yeah, also technically animated parts of my environment. I don't think I've covered this yet. The doors came with an inbuilt animation already, but it wasn't set up, so I just kind of set it up in script. I didn't create the animation myself though, but yeah, I did do the programming to make the animation actually run, if that counts for anything. Which is why I put somewhat for task 6. I think that was task 6, was it? Yeah. Task 7, like I've shown before, fully fledged inventory system. Every object has its own slots or its own offsets. I'll quickly show that you can throw the knives and then also pick them up. So that guy's now dead, and I can run over here and pick up the knife again they've already used. And then we can go kill someone else again afterwards if we want to. Say hello to this guy. Yeah. And yeah, I think that covers about everything. I've namespaced everything. I have referenced every external package I used. I think that covers everything, yeah. But yeah, overall, quite a lot of fun on this assignment, and yeah, I'm going to keep working on this even after this and 323 is done, and hopefully get this working into a proper game. Yeah, sweet. Thank you for listening.